Another thing that I love in my collection is ground sage. You definitely need to have this to mix with herbs or just kind of like burn it and purify it as well. And you can use it for anything relatively that is for purifying and for just kind of refreshing, but this is also something that you definitely have to have in your collection. You can have whole one, but I found it's easier to burn if it's like powdered, so this is just kind of like how I powder it. Another powdered thing is powdered coal. This does take forever to make if you're using the coal blocks, but I don't care, I still take time to use it. And as you can see, I'm running out. I use this a lot, but it's something that I love using as well for purification and just kind of like for making like black sand and stuff. So this is also something that I have, and it's super awesome to have in your collection. Another thing that I have in my collection is my eggshells, also crushed and powdered. Eggshells are really good for banishing and are really good for cleansing and purifying, just like pretty much anything. They're really good for breaking hexes and for like dealing with a lot of like negative energy. They're also really good for fertility spells too, so like making tea and stuff. If you get it in a ground powder right now, you can actually drink it and like put it in your food if you don't mind a little bit of like the eggshelly taste. But I know a lot of fertility spells that call for eggshells, and that's basically why, is you know, because like an egg is like the symbol of fertility, so this is always really good to have. And then in this bag right here, I have my herbs just pretty much in there, and then like my potions that are already pre-made. Like I have rue. Rue is really good for breaking hexes, because you know, if you're a witch and you're kind of like dabbling in using magic, you might have people giving you the evil eye and they might curse you. And sometimes whenever people just say like, oh, like fuck her, like whatever, like it kind of, the energy really attaches itself if you're a witch. So it's always really good to have a little bit of rue just in case. And then I have some elderflower. Elderflower is really good for exorcisms or something that like helps to burn, and if you burn it, it's really good for like keeping evil entities away from you. If you carry it around you, it's really good to keep evil entities away from you, or just anything that's like evil. It's really good just to have something like this and kind of like clear up that area, because not today, Satan, not today. And then another thing for protection is mistletoe. I also have quite a bit of mistletoe right here, also really good and handy to have. And then I have butcher's broom. Butcher's broom is really good for wind spells, and it's really good for anything that has to do with the wind or travel, or anything that has to do with just kind of like lifting yourself up in the air or whatever. So it's really good to have some butcher's broom if you're wanting to feel like a little bit lighter. And then another few ones that I have are kind of just like my pink Himalayan salt, my black salt, you know, nothing super special about that, and my fever glow, just anything that's like cute to have in a little jar, and it's like something that you don't really use a lot of, but you still want to keep in a container. So this is where I store it. So that's pretty much all of my little spices that I have in these type of containers. I do have quite a bit more spices, but I'm not going to bore you guys with showing you every single one. This is where I keep all my spices, and it's anything normal that you might use that's like more of a kitchen kind of thing. Like you can go into your kitchen and get it. It's just kind of like sugar, sand, cinnamon, you know, like paprika, just anything like that. This is where I keep it, just because they're not necessarily super hard to find, and they're just kind of like whatever. So this is where I keep those. And then in this little jar, I have my dried roses. You can use dried roses for love spells or for kind of like morning spells. It's really good just to have in general if you're doing like a love spell for somebody else, even though you really shouldn't, in my opinion, mess with a love spell or like mess with someone's like free will and someone's like will to love you. I feel like if someone's meant to love you, they will find a way to love you themselves. You don't need to like kick it. But it's also really good for marriage spells. Like let's say if you just got married and you want your marriage to stay strong, it's really good to use in something like that. Anything that has to do with like love and just kind of like prosperity, it's always good to have some dry roses. And then of course, since I am dealing with a lot of fire, I keep some matches and a lighter. These are just, you know, regular matches and lighters that you can pick up, but you're always burning and you're always like having to light candles, so it's always good to have a few backups. And then I have another huge thing of black salt. As you can see here, I love my black salt. I pretty much use it for anything, any chance I can. Anytime I feel a little bit stressed out, I'll just rub a little bit on my hands and like on my face, and it'll just kind of like help me remember that not everything is as hard as it seems, and it's just more of a like relax, you know. So this is why I have so much black salt, and you never know when you need it. Like, you definitely need to have a lot in your hand if you're messing with kind of like darker type of spells, just to be safe. I don't really mess with a lot of stuff like that, but if you are, this is going to be your best friend. Speaking of dark spells and not messing with them, I do have a huge jar of graveyard dirt. I know a lot of people don't carry graveyard dirt in their collection. It's kind of a picky subject. Some people like to talk about it, some people don't like to talk about it, but it is very taboo. I keep it in my collection because, again, you never know when you're going to need it, and I just like to collect as much stuff that I could possibly need. I haven't been able to use it yet, but if I did, I definitely have a big jar. Graveyard dirt is really good for necromancy spells or any kind of spells that's like talking to the evil spirits or to the dead or anything like that. Like if you're wanting to talk to like the dead, it's more than likely gonna ask you to use some graveyard dirt in your spell. Just be very careful who you get it from. I know some people don't really get graveyard dirt from like graves. I'm one of those people. I don't really like to go into people's graves that I don't know and just kind of like dig shit up. I'm more of those people that's like very respectful, and I'll ask the cemetery like, hey, can I get a little bit of the dirt and put it in a jar? And most of the time they're pretty kind of like, why would you want that? But after you explain like, oh, it's just kind of like something that I like to collect or whatever, then they're like, oh, okay, like yeah, sure, take one. But definitely don't go into someone's like loved one. That's like super, super disrespectful if you're just going in and just kind of like digging up part of their grave. So be very respectful, and you don't want that negative energy to be kind of like attached to your dirt. So just be very careful whenever you do collect that. And then I do have a few of these little baggies just in case I'm wanting to separate any of my stuff, or if I like am on the go and I see something that's like, oh, I need to go pick some of that and I need like a little place to hold them in, or like crystals or jewels or whatever. This is a super, super easy place to, or like a super, super easy way to collect them before I can move them into like glass jars. And then in this sealed bag, this is where I keep all my crystals and my runes and stuff like that. So this is super filled. As you can see, it's like filled to the brink. I like to keep them together, and then I like to collect them in like this little bag just so they stay nice and fresh and they don't collect any negative energy, and they also like last a lot longer too if you keep them in a sealed, very, very dark bag. So anyways guys, that was my video for today. Please feel free to give this video a big old thumbs up if you liked it, and if you're curious and if you want me to show you guys more of my witchy collections and kind of like to teach you guys more on my religion and teach you guys more about like what it means to be a witch, or if you guys have any questions at all, comment and share it with your friends or any of your witchy friends that kind of like are just starting and they don't really know what to have in their witch's trunk or in like their altar. This is just a really good video to show you guys the basics and the stuff that everybody, or in my opinion, every witch should have. There is a few more in-depth things that people should have in their collection, but for a very basic beginner witch, I think this stuff is pretty easy, and it's pretty easy to make, pretty easy to collect. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.